I'm going to save you some headaches and possible legal trouble. So stay tuned as we go through my contract for graphic design. So yeah, today I'm just going to show you my contract that I use when signing on a new job with a new client. So let's jump into the contract, and I'm going to read through it and explain to you each individual step and what it means for you as a graphic designer. Now every time you hear or read licensor in the contract, that applies to me or you as a designer. Thomas Cargill will provide the final logo design solution on the agreed due date of 7/11/2018 in the following file formats: AI, PDF, EPS and JPEG, as well as the first draft design on the due date of 1/11/2018. Now basically this is just you outlining when you intend to supply the final graphic design solutions after the revisions, but also when you supply the first draft, which on my contract here is the 1/11. You'll see later in the contract that I actually display how many revisions are allowed in the budget. So yeah, you just want to outline how long it's going to take you as a designer to supply the client their designs. In brackets it says insert company or name. That's just the person that you're working for. They're called the licensee. Agrees to supply a fully project brief to Thomas Cargill, the licensor, at the beginning of the project. Now this is, it kind of goes without saying, but you do want to put it in the contract, that they need to supply a project brief which tells you exactly what you need to be doing in their project. Insert company name again. Agrees to pay the sum total of $375 at the beginning of the project, which amounts to 50% of the agreed budget of $750, which covers all logo graphics presented and completed. It should say here by the licensor to the sum total of $750, and that covers all artwork and 2 revisions past the due date of the first draft of the design. So essentially what this is saying here is that they agree to pay half of the budget up front before you do any of the work, and also that the full budget, $750, covers the first draft and also 2 revisions. And these 2 revisions are done before the 7/11/2018. So you can see that here I'm just outlining that the work is going to be done by a certain date, and I need half of the budget up front, which is something you really want to be doing, because you might get a client that doesn't like the design for whatever reason, and that 50% covers that. Any work required on said project past the due date will be billed to the licensee at $40 per working hour. Now this is saying that after you've done the 2 revisions and even after the final due date, if the client wants any changes made or any more revisions, it's going to cost them $40 per hour. Upon sending the first draft designs, the licensee agrees to provide feedback within 24 hours for the possible 2 allocated revisions. Now this is just you setting yourself up so you don't have your time wasted in the future of the project. Because sometimes, you might get a client that takes a long time to reply and doesn't give you feedback in time. But this ensures that they know that they need to respond to you in a pretty fast time. Failure to provide the final 50% sum total will result in the final graphics and artwork being withheld and not delivered to the insert company or name. So this is saying that if they don't pay the final 50%, that they're not going to receive any of the files. So yeah, this goes back to if they don't like the design of the artwork, they can't really say anything because they've signed this contract. And then moving on to the last paragraph, as working licensor, Thomas Cargill relinquishes all rights relating to monetary gain and royalties of the graphics created. This is basically me giving the design to the client. They basically have the rights to that design. I'm just a designer here. I'm not someone who's part of the brand or have shares in the company. Unless you have some sort of different agreement between you and your client, it's pretty standard to relinquish all rights like this to your client. You do want to hold the right to being able to use their design in your portfolio of work, which is what I've stated here in the contract. And this next point is really quite important for the client. It reads as follows: as working licensor, Thomas Cargill will only use materials and software that he has legal rights to use. Basically, if I use copyrighted vectors or designs that are not my own, they could get into some copyright and legal issues. So basically, I'm just telling them that I'm going to be using materials and resources that I have the rights to use, so they're not going to get in legal trouble later down the line. And then finally, Thomas Cargill cannot be held responsible for monetary damages relating to the agreed budget. a sum total of $750. So yeah, there was a quick video today on the kind of contracts that I use for, my clients in graphic design. And I think it depends on, what kind of relationship you've got with your client and how strong your portfolio is, or how much of a presence you have as a designer online or in the industry. Because if you've got more of a presence and you're more established as a designer, you can really leverage yourself a lot more in a contract, and you can ask for a lot more in the way of money and in the way of coverage and stuff like that. And also I think one really important point is to state how many revisions you give. So in my case, 2 revisions. And after that point, how much you're going to charge per hour. And of course at the bottom, you get them to digitally sign the contract and the dates there as well. And once they've signed it, you're good to go. And hopefully you have a great project with your client. So yes, the weekend. So have a great time, everybody. And until next time, design your future today. Peace.